and my name is Bhatia, and this is the subject of BHIC 132, and we are going to cover Unit 12 and Unit 13 in this class. In Unit 12, we are going to discuss about Mahmud Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. Have you listened about the names of these two rulers of India? And we are going to start about Mahmud Ghazni, how he invaded India and how he invaded Central Asia and subcontinent, parts of other subcontinent. In this unit, we will elaborate on this unique feature of early medieval India. Invasions by Muslim Turkish invaders started with mere plunder and loot by Mahmud Ghazni. In which century? In 11th century. It went on to see its climax with the establishment of first Muslim state in India by Muizzuddin Muhammad Ghori in late 12th century. This unit aims to discuss different phases of invasion, conquest, expansion of Muslim rule in India, as also the factors adding such phenomena. How the situation of constant flux in West and Central Asia. As seen in last unit, Abbasids had been the most powerful empire in West Asia since 5th century. Abbasids. This situation started changing from the end of 9th century. It was mostly because of the dissipation of its energy, resources in fighting the Hittim Turks from states ruled by both non-Turk rulers and Turkish rulers or sultans. All these states accepted the suzerainty of Caliph or Khalifa, who received his formal legitimacy through grant of Mansur. After the fall of Abbasid Empire in this region, the situation was just like that. In North India, in the post-Gupta period, it was ruled by many rulers, fighting amongst each other for expansion of one's territory and one's power. Also, in such states, even ambitious officials tried dethroning the king to usurp power for themselves. This is how many dynasties rose and fell. Amidst such political flux in West and Central Asia, the main factor behind the strength and survival of any dynasty was its military power and efficiency. Therefore, we see many dynasties coming to power one after another. This is how the Samanid dynasty ruled from 874 to 999 CE. As seen above, there were constant skirmishes or wars between different groups of Islamist Turks to expand their territories. All of them exhibit good military, good skills in battlefield and competed with each other for power. All Turks, all Muslim rulers. The first important reason was the availability of finest breeds of horses in the steppes of Central Asia. That's why the Turks and Muslim rulers were very strong and powerful at that time because of the finest breeds of horses they were having at that time. And they got horses from steppes of Central Asia. Second cause, how they were very much strong, that was the easy availability of war implements, just like weapons, they got very easily. Another factor responsible for success of Turkish warriors was their Ghazi spirit. Ghazi spirit. This was seen for the first time in West Asia when the Turkish warriors had to constantly fight against non-Turkish nomadic warriors. Turkish with non-Turkish nomadic warriors. They were fighting with each other, called the Turkmen and Turkomans. At this time, the region of Transoxiana was under Iranian rule, and its surrounding areas were inhabited by Turks and non-Muslim nomadic Turkomans. Turkomans means nomadic communities, just like tribals. There were constant fights between the Turks and Turkomans like Gus or Gus, etc. Constant fighting. Next is Ghazi, inroads in the northwestern region of India. Ghazi raids were continued since 999 CE by Mahmud Ghazni, known as Sultan Mahmud bin Subuktigin. And Subuktagin's successor, interestingly, the title Mahmud Ghazni is not found on his coins, which simply designate him as Amir Mahmud, nor was it given to him by the Caliph. He deserved this title based on his conquest in Persia, Transoxiana. He fought a furious battle against Jaipal in 1001 CE. We are talking about Mahmud Ghazni. He fought a furious battle, a lot of battle against Jaipal in 1001 CE. It was a battle of cavalry and skillful military tactics. Jaipal was severely routed by Mahmud's forces and his capital of Peshawar was devastated. Whose? Jaipal. Japan was not that much powerful, just like Mahmud Ghazni. Mahmud plundered Mathura. Plunder of Mathura by Mahmud. The holy city of Mathura, an ancient home of Hindu worship, was filled with temples which Mahmud thought were not built by man but by jinn. He was very much curious to know about who had built this. Not ordinary man can build that. This was a very exciting way he was talking about. Just he was saying that ancient Hindu, ancient home of Hindu worship was filled with temples, which Mahmud thought were not built by man but by jinn, where colossal golden and silver idols flashed with jewels stood so gigantically that they had to be broken up in order to be weighed. If anyone wished to construct a building equal to it, he would not be able to do so without expending 100 million dinars, and the work without occupy 200 years, even though the most able and experienced workmen were employed. The wealth looted and earned from plunders in India helped him against his enemies in Central Asia. He even extended his empire in Iran and additionally got more recognition from the Khalifa at Baghdad. A lot of places he had plundered, a lot of things. Mahmud's last major raid was a Somnath temple in Saurashtra on the western coast of Gujarat in 1025 CE. 1025 CE. It took him across the Thar Desert in Rajasthan that had previously deterred most invaders from raiding it. Now you also can see the condition of Somnath temple, which was plundered by Mahmud Ghazni. This is a picture of ruins of Somnath temple. He was a bold warrior who had great military capabilities, great political achievements. He had turned the small state of Ghazni into vast and wealthy empire comprising most parts of present-day Afghanistan, eastern Iran, northwestern parts of Indian subcontinent. Next is the fall, how the Ghaznavi Empire fell, and how the rise of Ghurids in Central Asia and India. How? What is the situation behind that? Because you also have listened about Muhammad Mahmud Ghazni, that he had plundered a lot of things. He had plundered a lot of cities from India, just like Mathura. I have given you an example of Mathura, that how he plundered the silver idols, the gold idols. He had plundered a lot of things. He destroyed everything in Mathura at that time. And what about the Gauris? Muhammad Gauri, have you heard about Muhammad Gauri? that there was some lackings behind the loots of Mahmud Ghazni. So many lackings he had given to empire. It was seen that despite the amount of wealth plundered from India, Mahmud could not become a good and capable ruler. He built no lasting institutions in his state. He plundered everything, but he was not capable. He was not good ruler at that time. And he had not built any institutions in his state as all rulers did at that time. His rule outside Ghazni was tyrannical. An unexpected rise of Ghurids at a small and isolated province of Ghor located between Ghaznavi Empire and that of Seljukids was an unusual development in 12th century. Unexpected rise of Ghurids. When Gauri came into the empire, then that time the time was when Mahmud Ghazni was in his lot of lackings. Nobody wanted to see him as a ruler because he was not a good ruler. In 12th century, by now, the Ghurids wanted to break free of Seljukids and fight for their control over the rich areas of Khorasan and Mer. Like the Ghaznavids, they were also unpopular for their burdensome levies on people. This made it difficult for them to maintain their authority and order in the region. Ghurids were also not very popular at that time, just like Ghazni was not popular at that time. Same thing. The Tarain battles. Two battles were held in Tarain, the Battle of Tarain in 1191 and 1192. The war fought between two forces in 1191 CE is known as the First Battle of Tarain. The war was between Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Ghori. Not only did Prithviraj win, he also left Gauri badly wounded. However, Gauri was saved by Khalji's horsemen who carried him to safety. With this triumph, Prithviraj took the Gaurids for granted and surmised that, like the Ghaznavids, the Gaurs would also rule only the frontier areas outside India. He was a triumph of Prithviraj Chauhan. He misunderstood about this, that the Gaurs will rule outside India. But he was wrong at that time. Turkish forces attacked for second time in 1192 CE, which is known as Second Battle of Tarain. This time Gauri came with good preparations. He had carefully planned his moves to defeat the Chauhans' movement towards Ganga Valley. After putting Delhi and Ajmer under Turkish control, the Ghauris planned to attack the most powerful kingdom of India, the state of Gehdawals of Kannauj. With his return to India in 1194 CE, Muizuddin captured the neighboring regions of Delhi in the Upper Doab, namely Meerut, Bairan, Bulandshahr, Kholi, and Aligarh. This Upper Doab area was ruled by the Dor Rajputs, and the region had been attacked some time after the Second Battle of Tarain. Because in Second Battle of Tarain, Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated at that time and Muhammad Ghori had won the war at that time. He plundered a lot of things from the place and Prithviraj Chauhan ran away from there and he takes shelter in others. He takes shelter in other rulers' reign at that time. You also have heard about the stories of Prithviraj Chauhan, that how he had survived at that time after defeating in war of Tarain in 1192. Despite such expansion in all directions, the Turks were mostly unable to control the conquered areas that were far away from stronghold of Delhi and Upper Ganga Valley area. This problem cost them very heavily due to fresh Central Asian developments in 1204 CE. In this year, the Ghurids, Turk, were badly defeated by the Pagankara Khanate Turks of Samarkand at the Battle of Andkhui near the Oxus River. Now, what were the reasons behind the Rajput defeat and the victory of Turks? Analyzing the socio-political system of Rajputs, Satish Chandra has given plausible reasons for their defeat. That he contends that, irrespective of not being inferior in numbers or in the quality of mounts and weapons, Rajput lacked proper organization, proper leadership. Their armies did not have an unfined, unified command since they were supplied by different feudal lords to the ruler. On the contrary basis, the Turkish sultans were used to maintaining large standing armies which were paid in cash or by means of ikta system. Ikta system was the type of tax at that time. They bought and trained slaves for warfare who were loyal and devoted to their sultans. That was very much not good situation in Rajput's time. That's why they defeated. Another reason for Rajput defeat mentioned by Chandra is the lack of strategic perspective of Rajputs. As he says, Al-Biruni had mentioned in his writings what the Hindus believe that there is no country but theirs, there is no nation but theirs, there is no kings but theirs, and there is no science like theirs. Yes, the supremacy, the supremacy feeling of Hindus, that is the big lacking for all of them. Now we are going to start about, yes, in unit 12, the main thing was Mahmud Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. How Mahmud Ghazni invade Central Asia, invade India, and how he invade and how he ruled. His rule was not that much very important at that time, very much not very much strong at that time, and he had not built any type of state, any type of building when he was living in India that he can be remembered after the generations. He had not done anything. He was not popular leader. He was not popular ruler at that time. So the subjects, just like the people at the time of ruling dynasty of Mahmud Ghazni, they were not happy with Mahmud Ghazni. Okay. After Mahmud Ghazni, who came? Mahmud Ghori. Muhammad Ghori came to India, and on behalf of Mahmud Ghazni, he ruled a lot of time in, if you can say, the agrarian relation. Now, in Unit 13, land revenue system and agrarian relations. How Mahmud Ghazni, how Muhammad Ghori have ruled in India at that time. Because after winning the seat of a ruler, then what type of works they did at that time, that is also very important thing to know about the history of the particular empire and their emperors. So many things he had done. They both have done in India. So many things. They take taxes and they give agricultural relation with other countries like revenue system and just like tax ICTA system we have discussed about. This was the type of tax at that time which was taken by the people to their rulers. What was the condition of land at that time? Was it fertile or unfertile? This was for this we will going to start. We will going to start to read about Unit 30, land revenue system and agrarian relation, and the time period is 700 to 1200 CE. This is the time when Gupta, post-Gupta period, is envisioned as the colossal classical age of Indian feudalism marked by changes such as local state formation, such as rural, agrarian economy, agrarian expansion, peasantization of tribes, the decline of trade, the urban centers, uneven distribution of land, regional agriculture structures, private land ownership, etc. Early medieval started with consolidation of peasant activities and state motivated by Brahminical ideology, structures, and institutions. Brahminical ideology means they have maintained four Varna system: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. This was the ideology of Brahminical at that time. The dynamic age of 700 to 1200 CE showed a significant changes in land revenue, a significant changes in land revenue, agrarian relations due to transformation and expansion of Indian polity, Indian economy, culture, which need to be studied as being interrelated. The pre-Muslim India touched a higher level of elaboration and complexity than ancient India due to the formation of agrarian regions. Politically, the early medieval period is marked by the emergence of regional powers fighting each other for their supremacy. They fought a lot of wars for their supremacy. What was the condition of land at that time? This is a time period when we are talking about the early medieval period, and the early medieval economy became structured, modified, and functioned around land. And land became a significant source of revenue. And kings also donated land to individuals and institutions for their service to the empire, just like the rulers had given land to the temples, to the mosques, okay, for their publicity and for their service to the empire. The system of land grants became an all India feature by 1200 CE and incorporated almost all kinds of lands such as fertile, semi fertile, arid, fertile, unfertile, pasture land, other ecological kinds of land. Religious institutions and communities also emerged as landed magnates. The kings granted them land for their favor and services, and the land which was given to the religious places, which was granted to religious places, that was tax-free land at that time. Rulers were not taking tax from the religious places which was granted to religious, just like temple or mosque. Now, what was the condition of land grants at that time? As earlier time, land grants generated differential access to power, resources, intricate relations of domination, subordination in donated areas. We can divide land grants broadly into two categories: religious and secular awards. Spiritual gifts include Brahmadeya, Devadana, Agrahara, Mangalam, which was started by ruling dynasties and subsequently followed by chief, officials, and feudatories. Land grants to one or more numbers of Brahmins are called Brahmadeya. The land which was given to the Brahmins, that land was known as Brahmadeya. Agrahara Mangalam was tax-free villages donated to Brahmins. That is known as Agrahara. For their resettlement, respectively in North and South India, Devdana was land given to temples. Devadana means given to Devas. Devdana was a land given to temples, monasteries, and other religious establishments, both Brahmin and non-Brahmins, both. The institutions such as Brahmadeyas and temples played an essential role in the development and expansion of agrarian-based consolidation of state power, peasantization of Shudras, and social differentiation. Yes, these were the land grant type which was given to Brahmins, just like Agrahara. Brahmadeya. Agrahara, tax-free village donated by Brahmins. And the Devdana was the land given to temples and monasteries. Yes, to Brahmins and non-Brahmins, both of them. At that time, the Brahmadeya and the institution, just like Brahmadeyas and temples, they played a very essential role at that time for the expansion of agrarian base and consolidation of power at that time. What about the rights to land? The land grants brought fundamental changes in the rights to land. Fundamental changes. In ancient India, king and farmer had rights over the land. Yes, we are talking about ancient time. King and farmer had rights over the land. But in early medieval period, which we are talking about this time, the intermediary rights were created through land grants. Land grants destroyed community rights to land. The community had no right on land. They transformed the community and communal property into feudal property, which affected the means and process of production, leading to the subjugation of peasantry. The individual rights to land developed at cost of communal agrarian rights. Yajnavalakya, Brihaspati mentioned 4 grades of land rights in the same piece of land, just like Mahipati, kings. And what is this? Kshetra Swamin, master of soil. Krishaka, cultivator. Subtenant. These were the 4 grades of land which was mentioned by Yajnavalakya and Brihaspati at that time. The type of land which was given for land grant, which was given to temples of etc. What was the revenue system at that time? Because if we are talking about lands, if we are talking about agriculture, then what is the main important thing? That is revenue. The revenue which was taken by the rulers and the revenue which was given by the people to the rulers. And on behalf of given revenue, the rulers had given shelter, had given protection to their people at that time. That was the main source. Land and agriculture have always been the base of Indian economy. Agriculture. The base of Indian economy, which became more pronounced in our period of study. Land and agriculture tax became crucial for the revenue system. Yes, land tax and agriculture tax. That was become the crucial for revenue system in 700 to 1200 CE. Certain levies on trade, commerce too were collected. The revenue system was under great pressure because of the feudal economy. Yes, there was a great pressure, under the great pressure. What? Revenue system. And what about the state? In between 700 to 1200 CE, the state charged several taxes and levies on independent peasants, independent artisans, merchants, and others. The land grant charters reflect taxes, dues, and levies collected by the state. Since kings cautiously mentioned their name in the record, which was getting transferred to the feudatories. Feudatories means feudals. This is a system that we can say the feudatories. Now, what about the landlords and peasants? Because earlier we have studied about tax system. We have studied about land grant system. And now, what is the condition of landlords and peasants at that time? The early peasantry in early medieval India was subjugated to an ever-increasing tax and ever-increasing rent burden on them. Kings provided superior rights to feudal lords to collect all taxes, including regular, irregular, fixed, traditional payments from the inhabitants of granted villages. Kings, superior rights to feudal lords. Okay, and they the king has given right, then they will be taking a lot of profit on them in collecting taxes, a lot of taxes which was imposed on the peasants, which was imposed on the common people at that time. The Donis also collected regular taxes as Bhaga, Bhoga, Kara, Uprika. This was a type of taxes which was collected by the Donis, regular collected. Now, what was the condition of agrarian expansion? How the agriculture expanded that time? The attention paid to agriculture by rulers and landed beneficiaries can be seen in the detailed description of the plug, the land, the crops, and the improvement in irrigation facilities, in inscriptions and literature. The decreased dependence on rain for irrigation became a crucial factor for easy conversion of virgin lands into cultivable, settled areas with increased production and population growth. Yes, this was a responsibility of the ruler at that time, that how he can take benefit from the lands, how he can give lands for the plugging, for the crop production, and for improvement of irrigation facilities, which is given in inscription and literature also. This was the main responsibility of ruler at that time, because the total empire was depend on land, agriculture, tax. Yes, that's why this is the main responsibility of ruler. That time, the peasants were dependent on rain for the irrigation. That was a crucial factor for easy conversion of virgin lands. And how they convert virgin lands? They convert virgin lands into cultivable with the use of irrigation method. Okay. What was the condition of agrarian settlements at that time? Agrarian settlements, how they settle their agriculture at that time. The spread of agrarian settlements could have hardly been possible without adequate irrigation facilities. Yes, the irrigation facilities were not adequate at that time, because at that time the peasants were based on rain for the irrigation facilities. The pattern of geographical distribution of settlements, both related to water resources, both natural and human-made, and the agrarian potentiality of landscape. Sahu opines that there seems to have been a correspondence between the increase in irrigation works and the rise in number of nadus between 7th and 10th centuries in Tamil Nadu. In contrast to smaller nadus in river valleys, the less fertile tracts were characterized by large nadus with a lesser density of settlements. Nadus means villages, because in south there were some words which were not friendly with us, just like nadu. Okay, they need water resources for both natural and human-made. Both type of water resources they need to give the irrigation to their lands. What is the agrarian economy at that time? Because with the help of agriculture, the economy will be increased. The early medieval agrarian economy was highly complex. It was overshadowed by feudal economy, which we have studied in the above sections. North Indian agrarian economy became more and more feudalized. But South India presented independent peasant regions such as Nadus. Nadus were managed by Nattars, organizing themselves into assemblies. Land grants in Nadus issued with the consent of Nattar, and later they used to execute the donation. The Brahmins and dominant peasants, just like Vellalas. Peasants, we can say Vellalas, allied to production process. That's why the Brahmins, the religious institutions like temples or monasteries, the higher caste with lots of land, officials, holders of superior rights to property, became the central figure in the organization and function of early medieval agrarian economy. Because we are talking about land grant to religious institutions, to temples, to Brahmins, to monasteries. They were having a higher caste with lots of land, a lot of land, lot of officials, and lot of holders of superior rights to property they were having at that time. The most beneficial area, that was land grant system, which was given to religious places. Now we are going to start to know about the summary of this unit 12 and unit 13. In unit 13 we have discussed about the situation of land, the situation of revenue system, agricultural relations that were the essential part of feudalism, that were developed in 700 to 1200 CE, which period we are talking about this time. The revolutionary changes occurred in these sectors compared to situation that existed in 600 CE, which brought broad changes in early medieval Indian socio-economic and political conditions. In this way, we can question the popular notion of millennium changelessness of Indian society. The land became crucial, valuable resources in the era, both politically and economically. Land grants led to the emergence of new religious and secular landed intermediaries and feudatories. Peasants hardly remained as owner of their areas and almost turned into laborer, tiller. The cultivators were paying numerous legal and extra legal taxes to landlords. Who? Cultivators. So many taxes which were imposed for the cultivators, and they gave extra legal and extra legal taxes to landlords and to king, including Vishti. Vishti means forced labor, means the state shared its revenue resources with feudal lords. So many things we have discussed about in this chapter. Just like we have discussed in this unit. We have discussed about Mahmud Ghazni. We have discussed about Mahmud Muhammad Ghori. They both came to India to invade India because they were listen at that time the story of India, and they were very much attracted to India. They wanted to invade India, but they have not given any special things to India. They were from Turk and they came from Central Asia, West Asia, they came from that places. And after coming to India, they have not given any special things to India. That's why in history we have not that much material for them. The Battle of Tarain in 1191-92, and he plundered Somnath temple so many times. He plundered Somnath temple, he plundered Mathura because he was not friendly with Indian god. He had not listened about Indian god. That's why both of them destroyed Mathura and Somnath and so many religious places at that time. They broke so many idols of gold and silver, and they have snatched a lot of material metals from Indian temples. So many things they have taken. And after unit 12, we are talking about the system of land revenue system. Yes, just like agrarian settlements, agrarian economy, how they expand the economy. With the help of taxes, they expand the economy. Agrarian settlements, how they give the lands to the Brahmins, and they give tax-free land to Brahmins. Agrarian expansion, how they expand their agriculture with the help of plug, with the help of crops and improvement in irrigation facilities, and how the landlords and peasant condition, because landlords had taken a lot of tax from the peasants and the peasants were forced to give a lot of taxes to landlords, feudals. And what was the condition of state at that time? The condition of state was very good at that time because the ruler was having taxes. Revenue system, at the name of revenue, they have taken so many taxes from the people of the particular area, India. Rights to land, they were not having rights to land because the all land belonged to ruler was having the ruler had given land to the feudals and the rulers had given land to the all landlords and peasants, and they take tax from them on behalf of these things. Land grants which we have given, which the rulers had given Devdana monasteries to the temples, and they have not taken tax on the religious establishment for that. So now we are going to end this session, and in our next session we will cover our unit 14, 15, and 16 in our next session. Thank you. Have a nice day.